If you didn't watch the match, the score might tell you that that was an easy game for Manchester United, but that's not true. The result could have been completely the opposite. Despite the victory, Ruben Amorim is probably not happy. Red Devils had two main problems, one in defense and one in attack. So if they want to play on equal terms with the best teams, they absolutely have to improve this because it makes them exposed. But let's start with what was good about this match. What we can praise Manchester United for is getting midfielders from the middle zone into the third zone. And this is something that Southampton had big problems with. They were not able to secure the players they are responsible for, and Manchester had quite a lot of ease getting in the penalty area. Here we see a situation where ManU come into the penalty box, and I think that the striker would have shot in this situation. However, ManU decided to pass, which was not a good option. In the next situation, we see Bruno Fernandes, who played to Garnacho, runs into the third zone and he's completely unmarked. These entries of offensive midfielders into the third zone caused Southampton midfielders to completely lose coverage, and it is easy for Manchester to go out for a 1-on-2 or 2 versus 2 situation. And this was also the case in the second half, where Bruno Fernandes go out for the through ball. He saw a free zone in the side sector on the right, and this allows him to get the ball. He's covered, but the distance of the player who is responsible for him is about 4 meters. This is definitely too much. Fernandes can easily receive the ball, look around, play to the free partner. The combination with Zirkzee caused that Bruno Fernandes comes into the goal scoring situation. And this is undoubtedly an aspect in which Manchester were very good in terms of offensive actions. They should certainly be praised for this. We saw 3 situations, so we can say that this is not accidental. But now I would like to move on to the things that Manchester must improve. The first is playing with the backs to the goal. This was not an easy match for United because they were covered practically one-on-one all over the pitch. They had moments where the midfielders could enter the third zone, but it was also tight, so the offensive players have to be able to keep the ball. The key task is to receive the ball, pass it to a partner and run away. This is a feature that should stand out the central striker today, and I have an impression that they do not have one at the moment. And here we have an action in which Garnacho receives the ball in the direction where the defender is, so we can see that the Southampton defenders coming out very high to the offensive players, Garnacho or Bruno Fernandes, and leave space behind. This space is open, and in fact all it takes is one pass back to Mazraoui, and then either Garnacho can escape and run into the free zone, or Højlund can fill this zone. And it was quite an easy way to break into the Southampton penalty area. Here we have a situation where Højlund receives the ball again, but there is another loss, and again we see this zone behind him where the defender Jan Bednarek came out to him very high. This is the perfect space for Garnacho coming in. All it took was either a pass back and long ball to Garnacho, or holding the ball, turning and play a through ball. And this was probably the easiest way to attack Southampton. Here again a pass to Højlund. ManU was already going for a through ball. He is not a fast player, but it seems that even if the ball had been played to him, he would have been able to receive it, control it, and shift the attack a little to Southampton's side. When Højlund was no longer being attacked so high, when he managed to return the ball, Mazraoui played inaccurately. Højlund was not fully covered by the central defenders. Therefore, the defender also had those 2-3 meters advantage, and it was not the right moment to play the through ball. Certainly not to Højlund. These are the details that decide which team has an advantage throughout the match, and this is the first thing that Manchester United absolutely must improve. The second thing is the defensive action, the protection of the right defender Lene Yoro, who had big problems in this match with Sulemana. And this was visible from the beginning. Sulemana had several goal-scoring opportunities, and here we see when he receives the ball, the role of the central defensive midfielder Manuel Ugarte is to protect Lene Yoro. There was a long ball, and Ugarte thinks that his return would not have done anything anyway. Nothing could be farther from the truth. This is the moment when he should support Lene Yoro and return to his own penalty area at full speed. And here you will see that if he had done it from the beginning, this is the moment when he was literally 2 steps short of intercepting this shot. Only the lift, blocking of the ball, saved Manchester United. Interestingly, after this situation, Manuel Ugarte was immediately replaced. Collier came in, and in the next situation he theoretically supports Yoro, but in practice Sulemana beats the Frenchman and again is away those 2-3 meters to block the shot. What failed in these previous 2 actions succeeded later. When Sulemana receives the ball, he immediately ran to Yoro, even leaving player number 8 in the middle. it definitely paid off because Sulemana has to stop the action here. Later the action is continued, but it is no longer a one-on-one situation. Sulemana has to play the ball back, and this is exactly how a defensive midfielder should behave. It wasn't just Manchester United who had a problem with supporting the fullback, it was also Southampton problem, and it was thanks to this that the Red Devils managed to score 2 goals in this match. Here we see a counter-attack by Manchester, the ball goes to Ahmad Diallo and we have a one-on-one situation with the fullback. The central midfielder go back to the penalty area, but they are a bit late. From the perspective of the entire match and even the last few weeks, it is known that the most dangerous player is Ahmad Diallo. He is a player who very often looks for offensive duels, very often also looks for a shot to the left foot, so it seems that supporting this player, even at the cost of letting go of a player in the middle, would be justified. And here we see, when there is a one-on-one situation, Ahmad Diallo copes with the fullback. There is a bit of luck in this, but he is a player who certainly has a very wide range of skills. Here is another one-on-one action. It perfectly shows us why support is key. This is the moment when Ahmad Diallo receives the ball. We are somewhere on the 30-meter. This is also a problem for Southampton that the right-footed player is positioned on the left defense. It was undoubtedly more difficult for him to take on the left-footed player. But look where Diallo is when he receives the ball, and what happens when he carries the ball. The left defender is afraid to attack because he knows he will be outplayed, so he doesn't take a risk. This caused Diallo to freely pass from the 30-meter in the Southampton half to the penalty area in 6 seconds. The ease with which Ahmad Diallo passes to the opponent's penalty area is precisely the consequences of the lack of support from the central defensive midfielder. If there was such support, I think the fullbacks would have stood up at some point and attacked Diallo because he knew he still had his teammates' support. And Eriksen's genius made Diallo score for 2-1. Manchester United can draw with Liverpool, then win with Arsenal, but they have a big problem with the bottom of the table Southampton. Ruben Amorim can be happy with 3 points, but there is still a lot of room for improvement.